Okay, hi everyone. I am so excited to be on again. Sorry I was running a few minutes late, but I'm super excited to be on today and be here with all of you. Happy Tuesday. I am just really super excited to be on. So, those of you who are live with me today, thank you so much for being on live. For those of you who are watching the replay, I wanted to show my gratitude. Thank you for watching the replay. I am just so excited to be here with all of you today. Thank you, everybody who's registered. We are going to have an amazing party today, talking about stress and chaos, and what it is here to really show us, so we can step into who we really are. So that is what today is all about. Before we get started, of course, again, I just want to welcome everybody here on this call with me today. If you can hear me just fine, let me know that you can hear me just fine, that you're here with me. Also, if you really get value from this and you've been joining us over the last few weeks, if not, doesn't matter. Thank you so much for showing up each and every week. Also, please like, share, contribute, create a watch party. Let's get a party going. So we've got a lot of people here contributing to our growth. Also, let's interact. So this is not about me just speaking and talking. This is about you. And the more that you are interactive, the more that everything that we do today is going to integrate. So say hi. I want to see everybody say hi. Hi. So, yes, love this. I can hear you. Where are you at in the world? What is so amazing is this morning. I want to actually want to I want to stop not stop, but I actually just want to share something really beautiful that happened first thing. Like, I woke up this morning, first thing in the morning, and I've been very blessed in my life. Like, I cannot even begin to share like how blessed I am. I have come from a life of a lot of adversity, but I really changed my life around and have lived a very blessed life. And one of the things that I've been able to do over the last couple of years is live a life that was something that I could only put on my bucket list, and that was traveling all over the world. So I've been able to travel and volunteer and work and live with cultures all over the world, and I'm very blessed with that. And I had a mentor share with me years ago, as you actually, as I'm thinking about this, I forgot. I probably need to post this, but I'm going to keep on going. As you start to travel around the world, that's when you start to meet your soul family, and I've done that. I've been able to meet my soul family. I've been able to create a lot of really amazing friendships in my life. And one of my friends this morning, I wake up and she's going to be doing the Camino del Santiago walk. It's a 900-kilometer walk all through the northern part of Spain. And I wake up this morning, and she says, "Hey, I know that your birthday is coming up pretty soon, and I want to make sure that I don't miss your birthday. And I hope I didn't already miss it." And I said, and she says, "I am going on this walk through the Camino, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss your birthday, because one of the one of the traditions on the Camino is taking a burden or taking a rock, and you write your burdens. Basically, you wrap your burdens in this rock and you carry this rock with you. And there's a location in the there's a location in the on the walk where you actually um, let go of the burdens. And she says, as a birthday present, I would like to, as a birthday present, I would like to take one of your burdens. And I was like, oh my God, that's like amazing, right? And at first I was like, I don't even know what burden I would like to give her. And then in that moment, I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, I didn't even want to be a burden for a burden. So I decided, I was like, um, you know what? So I messaged her back. I was like, at first I didn't want to be a burden by giving you one of my burdens. And so I realized I'm going to give you my fear of being a burden. And so that was my birthday gift of her taking away that fear of being a burden. And what I had realized in my life is I've been very independent in my life, like very, very independent. Obviously, being a 14-year-old mother, and being a 14-year-old mother and just doing everything on my own. And although it served and protected me for a lot of my life, it's not serving me anymore. I've outgrown being independent, but it stemmed from being a burden. And so it was really beautiful for her to take that away. And the reason why I wanted to share that story was because me being independent, and me feeling like a burden has created a lot of stress in my life. Has created a lot of stress in my life. Being overly independent in many areas of my life. Of course, as women, many of us have lived through that. Oh, I don't need a man. I'm independent. I'll take care of myself, right? That's stemming from being independent. And because of that, that creates a lot of relationship issues and tension. So that creates a lot of stress. So I thought that that was really fitting today that she had asked me that first thing in the morning, because it really did go very hand in hand with the topic that we're talking about today, in regards to stress. So I really wanted to share that really amazing, beautiful um, birthday gift that I received on the other side of the world today, which made me think of how many different cultures and how many different countries we usually have at any given time during these broadcasts. So I'm just super excited that I've had the ability to be all over the world, and that the internet and social media has granted the opportunity for us to share this message across the world. So thank you all so much. So no matter what part of the world you're listening from, thank you so much for watching. And I know my European friends are probably not on right now, but are going to be watching the replay. So which is really great. So thank you. I honor you for following me. So let's dive into it. So again, I want to thank everybody here. Please, again, like, share, comment, contribute. This is for you. This is for all of us to share in connection. There's a lot of disconnection and division going on in the world right now. And so my aim is to create as much connection as I can, even if that's just like being online for right now. So that's what this is all about. So let's get started. So how many of you watching this today have any stress in your life, right? Put in the comment. I want to actually see your comments. What is your biggest stress that you have in your life right now? Put that in the comment. What is the biggest stress that you have in your life right now? So if you can sit here and think about like what has been your biggest burden in life, what's your biggest stressor? It could be something temporary. Maybe like right now you're just going through something temporary, or maybe it's something that you've been carrying your entire life. What has been like a big stressor that's been going on in your life? Um, right now. I'd love to hear what some of you have to say. Could be money, could be relationships, could be this damn COVID, wearing a mask. Could be like here in Arizona where it's like freaking hotter than heck outside. Um, could be like for me, one of the biggest stressors that I face is not being able to travel and being stuck in one spot. That is like the one thing that has been driving me absolutely crazy. That I was thinking about this, how ironic this was. I always thought about how fortunate I was to be an American citizen, and how blessed I was to be an American citizen. And I can literally travel all over the world and not even have to think about it because I have this American passport. Like I'm able to go anywhere because I have this American passport. And how much that's flipped. As an American, we can't travel anywhere. Europe won't let us in, Mexico won't let us in, Canada won't let us in. We can't travel anywhere. We can barely travel within the own United States. We wanted to go to Hawaii for my birthday, and you're in quarantine going to Hawaii. Like going to California, then so our second, let's go to California. All the beaches and everything are closed in California. So literally, we're like stuck. You can't go anywhere right now. You're literally stuck. And so for me, that is definitely a big stressor, being stuck, because I think I'm used to being on the move. So just being stuck in one place has been like a huge stressor, especially because moving back to Arizona was never an option. Like I remember sitting in Bali and being like, going back to Arizona is not an option, right? Um, so I was supposed to be living in New York right now. That was what my expectation was. So, what are your biggest stressor? Belize will soon. Negative energy. Um, what else? What are some stressors? What are some stressors that you have been thinking about? And I want you to think about those stressors, and I want you to just think about that stress that you've been carrying in your life right now as we move forward in this live stream. So let's talk about stress and what it is. So, I used to in my life like have a lot of muscle pain, like lots and lots of muscle pain. I actually thought I had like fibromyalgia, right? Which back in the day they couldn't really, which wasn't really like a disease or anything like that. But fibromyalgia was, what basically a term that they put on muscle pain. But I would go get a massage, and like every muscle in my body would be just lumps everywhere. And every time I would go, they're like, "Man, you need like regular massages," because I was always carrying so much stress in my body all the time. And and that's just how I lived my life. It was like my life is so stressful, and and it was. I had two kids. I had two kids. I was working full time and going to school most of the time while my kids were children. And there was even one point where I was teaching. I was working two jobs. I was also teaching at the same time. And so I had a lot of stress in my life. And so I was an angry person. Like I was, I wouldn't say I was like internally in my truth, I was an angry person, but man, like I would come home and it would just be like the house is a mess. Nobody could do anything right. Like that, my family had to like tiptoe around me because I was like always so freaking angry, because it was just like finally when I got home, you just wanted to have like time where you're just not stressed out. And then you would get home and it's just like, my expectations weren't met because the house was trashed or whatever. And so then I showed up at home as this person that just wasn't totally me, right? And we live in a world and in a society nowadays where, we're taught that if we've got the stress in our lives, we must find a way to like get rid of it or cover it up, right? And I remember one day going to the doctor. Had a conversation with my mom, and my mom just kept on telling me, "You're depressed, you're depressed." And I'm like, "No, I'm not depressed. This is just like a situation in my life because I was so busy and I was living with an abusive alcoholic, and nothing in my life just seemed like it was going quite right. So I didn't know what to do. And so my mom just kept telling me, "You're depressed, you're depressed. Just do me a favor, go to the doctor and whatever." So I remember going to the doctor and telling them how I felt. And the doctor, of course, immediately writes a prescription for antidepressants. And I was like, I really don't want to take these medications. And so, but I did, to entertain the doctor and to entertain my mom. And maybe I'm just being closed minded, and maybe that these medications are going to make me feel better. So I remember taking the medication just one time, and I felt dead. Like I literally felt so dead. I was like a zombie. I was like, oh, I felt horrible in my body. I felt horrible in my mind. I was completely disconnected from myself. Like it was just awful. I felt so terrible. And it took me like just that one pill, it took me like several days, like just get it out of my system. And to get it out of my system and to feel better. And one of the things that I've learned in my life is whatever mass society says is true or believes is most likely a fallacy. So I've built the habit of going against the grain, right? So I was told, "You're depressed, you're this, you're that, and whatever." But at the end of the day, when I really started to look at what the stress was going on in my life, and I was able to get clear in looking around, I realized I wasn't really living my life for me. I wasn't living my life for me. I was living a life of false identity. I was living a life that wasn't mine. I was working so hard for a life that wasn't mine, just to like fulfill the needs of my kids and my family, and to survive. And because of that, I wasn't in my truth. I was not, um, it just wasn't right. And so I had to start waking up. And the thing that I really want to talk about is, maybe stress is a way to signal us into alignment. Maybe stress is a way to signal us into alignment. And that's why I want you to look at the stress that you have in your life right now and really write it down. Like, what did some people say? Like negative energy and things like that. Like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What I have learned, I'm going to put up one of my favorite quotes right now for just a minute. You are always going to fail at being the person you are supposed to be, and the true measure of success is being who you truly are. You are always going to fail at being the person you are supposed to be. The true measure of success is being who you truly are. If I go back to that time in my life when I was like under a lot of stress, like years and years ago, I I was definitely afraid of being judged. Definitely afraid of being judged. My whole life, I was definitely afraid of being judged. That fear released itself completely, like about recently. Recently, not to say that there aren't some times where that fear of judgment still comes up, but I mean, it was bad. I literally created a life for all of you, just to respect me. I created a life for all of you to respect me. And so I created this identity, and I was literally, I was working full time, going to school full time, raising my kids, and I was in an abusive relationship with an alcoholic. Let me name some of these for a second, right? I was in a relationship with an abusive alcoholic because I was really afraid of being labeled as a single mother. So I hung on to a relationship that did not serve me. So you did not see me as being a failure, and being a single mom. So I had to create this persona around being in this relationship with this man who literally was just, it was hell. It was so much hell. But I didn't want you to view me as being a single mom. So I stayed in this relationship that was causing a lot of havoc, a lot of chaos in my life. I was working at a job that I felt if I stayed in this job, I went into this job. Yeah, I made decent money with the job, but I was in this job for you to respect me. So when I told you I gave up my dream of, I've always wanted to be a fashion designer, but I gave that up because every time I said, "Oh, I'm going to school," and people were like, "Oh, what are you going to school for?" Fashion design. Oh, what are you doing fashion design for? Like, oh, like the disappointment, the look of disappointment on everybody's face. I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I need to go back to school and, oh, I'll go into the medical field because if I go in the medical field, everybody's gonna respect me." But no, then you realize you start from the bottom and you gotta work your way to the top, and until you work your way up to, like, the very, very top of being like a surgeon or something, nobody's gonna respect you because there's always somebody bigger than you, right? So realize that was a problem, right? So I could never find enough respect. Then I was creating stress in my life going to school, to continue my education, to continue to grow up that ladder. So again, you guys would all respect me. And because I was wasting my time in a highly abusive, toxic relationship, working at a job that I didn't like, and going to school and working really hard for a career, for you to respect me, I never got to see my kids. And when I did see my kids were a cause of stress. So naturally, my whole life was just a giant ball of stress just to avoid judgment. Wow. Wow. But society tells us you're depressed. Society tells me I'm depressed or I have anxiety, that I need to go get a massage, that maybe you have fibromyalgia. But what was really happening is I got caught and lost in all the labels of life. I didn't even know who the hell I was anymore. So of course my life was stressed because I didn't have a life. I was surviving. I was like, zombie, zombie land. What is really funny about all that right now is with this whole COVID thing, it's like you go to the store and you feel like you're living in a zombie apocalypse, and COVID is asking people to be still, and now we're living in an app like a true zombie apocalypse. We're literally living in the ultimate zombie apocalypse because so many people in this world have lost their identity behind all the systems and structures and labels of life. And then, the people who have, risen above that mindset are called crazy, which we'll talk about later. Oh my gosh, I got attacked earlier today for being able to see the light. And people are like, "Oh my God, I know exactly your type. You're a vampire." What? I'm a vampire? I have a type because I see things, because I follow my own light and not other people's light? I'm a vampire? So I've lived a life realizing that wherever the flow of society is going is probably not the right way to go. You follow the herd, you die with the herd, right? So in order for us to start eliminating stress in our lives, we've got to start to listen to what that stress is rather than getting caught up in it. 9 years ago is when I left. I was finally able to get out of that really toxic relationship. And over that 9 years, I really focused on myself and like loving myself. And my life just continued to get better and better and better over that last 9 years. And for the last 5 years, I've really grown my life into ways bigger than I ever imagined. I never thought I was going to be where I'm at today, like never. Um, but then it always comes a time where, of course, you get into a place where you've outgrown your life. And I got to a place where I outgrew my life again. And I moved through things pretty quick. And so here I came to a crossroads where I was living a very beautiful life, and I experienced a lot of chaos and a lot of stress at one period of time. The last year of my life, oh my gosh, like some of you have heard me explain this. I feel like I was in a boxing ring, like a Rocky movie, but Rocky didn't win. It was like one of those episodes where Rocky didn't win. It was like you get into a ring and you're like so confident. You're like, oh man, I got this. I finally got this. And it's like boom, 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 boom. And every second you're just getting, getting knocked down on the ground. And you're just like, oh my God. And you're like, what the hell? I got more rounds to go. And you're like, oh shit. So you get back up and you're like, okay, I got this. All your coaches and your trainers and everything. Oh, you got this. They replenish you with water. They cool you down. They smooth out the black eyes and the bumps. And you're like, okay, I got this. And you get up and you're feeling, okay, I got this. I'm ready for this round. And I was like, oh my God, this has literally been going on for like a year. And I had a stint where I won a couple rounds, and I was like, yeah, I won a couple rounds. And then the last few rounds, I really got knocked down big time. I really got down big time, blindsided. It's like, you feel like, it feels like I do box. And when you box, you always have your hands up, and you want to make sure that your gloves are touching your face, so you're protecting your face, right? And you feel like when you're fighting, you do have your hands up, but what'll happen is your trainer is like, nope, your hands are slipping. Your hands are slipping. Your hands are slipping. You're like, wow, I feel like I'm blocking myself. And the trainer's like, no, your arms are slipping. Your shoulders are so tired. And you got to keep your arms up. But then you're like, you think you're protecting yourself, but then you don't realize that you let your guard down. And then you just get knocked in the face. And you're just like, oh my God. And you get knocked down again. And that's what happened to me just recently. And because of that, I was like on the ground, just like, I don't have any fight left in me. I just don't. I don't have any fight left in me. Like I'm done. And so I'm on the ground, oh, all right, I lost this one. I lost this fight. And then this voice comes up and it says, are you really done? Are you really done giving up your passion? Are you really done? Are you going to spend your life in hiding? Or are you going to get up for another fight? Maybe this beast got you this time, but are you ready to actually train to fight it this time and actually win? Like, are you kidding me? Is that even possible to do? Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I really got my ass kicked. It's like, well, what did it teach you? So for me, I had to get really clear. I got quiet, got in isolation. I cleaned up my diet, got rid of all sugar, ate nothing but meat and vegetables, literally nothing but like meat and broccoli. That is it. I completely detoxed my system. I let go of all of my old friends, and just had basically this one person as a confidant that I could talk to, and spent most of my time just in my own thoughts in the dark, just letting everything go so I could start to train myself to get into a place where I could get really clear. And not saying that that's what everybody has to do, but for me, this was a really deep, dark place I had to go through, um, because what was being presented to me was very, 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 very intense. It happens to the best of us. And I guess when you're living in a place in life where you feel like life is just going so well, you forget sometimes that you're human, right? You forget sometimes that you're human. I think even like the people who had been following me for a while forgot I was human, because when I became human, people were like, "Oh my God, you're going through a lot of shit in your life. Oh my God, let me avoid you. There's something wrong with you. You're broken." You're like, "No, I'm human. I'm growing." And my life, I outgrew my life. And for like the longest time, I remember sitting here just like being so stressed, like looking at my relationship that I was in, just kind of looking at it with disgust, like, I can't live this relationship anymore, because if I live the relationship the way it is now, I'm just going to be, it's just going to be stagnant, complacent. And like looking at the future of what the relationship was going to look like. And I was like, it just looked like stagnation to me. It looked like complacency for me. And I was like, ah, it looked like settling. That's what it looked like. I was like, what was the word I was trying to describe? It looked like settling. And I think to everybody, it looked like everything was perfect. But to me, I was like, I feel like I'm settling in life. This doesn't feel right. And that was causing stress in my life. I was looking at my career and I was like, yeah, it looks like I'm doing really well in my career, which I was, but where do I go from here? This feels like stagnation. It feels like there's something bigger for me, but I don't know what it is, because on the outside it looks really good. Why aren't I just happy with where I'm at right now? Um, my health was being affected. That was the one place that it was showing me that I was stressed, because my body was holding on to a lot of weight. And I couldn't realize why I couldn't get rid of this weight. And so my body was causing me stress because I didn't look the way I normally look. I didn't feel like myself. So there was all these indications in my life of where I wasn't feeling like myself. And then I realized I must die. Like I don't fit into this box anymore in my life. Like this doesn't fit in for me anymore. Like I've outgrown it. And there's no way to take this relationship with me. No matter what I do, I've outgrown the relationship. Whatever I do, I've outgrown my business model. I've outgrown everything that I thought I loved. Even though I was like traveling the world, I wasn't traveling even the way I wanted to. I outgrew everything. There wasn't anything in my life that I didn't outgrow. And I had one of two choices: to either die or to settle for my life, which in essence was dying. Both choices were death. Both choices were death. And so I was like, well, only one death I can grow from. So I decided to let it all go. And it created what I thought was stress, but it wasn't. It was letting my seeds grow and plant. And what I realized in all of that, and what stress really is an identity crisis. What stress really is an identity crisis. Stress is here to help us acknowledge where we're not being who we are. When we're no longer living a life for ourselves, when we're living a life for other people. when we're, again, being lost in labels, when we're trying to be the perfect wife, the perfect husband, the perfect girlfriend, the perfect mother, the perfect employee, the perfect coach, the perfect speaker, the perfect lawyer, the perfect whatever it is. When we're trying to fit into this box and this structure, and we're trying to like fit ourselves in there, but you just realize it's just like it's time to break free. And I feel like stress alerts us that we're no longer living a life for ourselves any longer. And it's time to get down to the truth of who we are so we can express ourselves. Many of you have heard me say this many times because we've heard about the law of attraction. The more you give, the more you receive. No, it's the more you give of yourself, the more you receive. So when you're able to give of yourself, you're able to get back, you're able to receive. But when you're trying to fit into a structure that you no longer fit in, you don't have anything to give because you're so disconnected and disassociated from your own truth. You don't even know who the hell you are. I was thinking about this because last year my birthday is coming up on Monday, and I was thinking about this last year around this time. I was having an identity crisis, and I was writing down exactly how I wanted the world to see me, and it wasn't the way I was showing up. And a year later, I'm having that. I was feeling the same way. So it's funny. Thank you. Someone commented, "You look like Rihanna." Thank you. I'm going to receive that. You know why? Because I had my hair a certain way yesterday, and I was like looking at my hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like the way I looked 5 years ago, right? I had my hair like in a bob, one color. And I look the way I looked 5 years ago. I need to look different so I can start to feel different. So I went to the store and I went and bought like all this fun hair. I was like, oh, I haven't done this color. So I was like, all right, we're gonna just do something. We're gonna be a different person every day. So today I decided to be a different person. And I was like, all right, well, I guess I haven't had this look yet. So this is my look for today. I don't even know what to name it, but the fact that I got that comment today, I decided years ago I was going to use Rihanna as my as an example for an alter ego. So today I'm going to go by Riri. Today I'm Riri, right? So as we're getting caught up in this identity crisis and learning who we are, I ask you, who are you at the core, and how can you use the stress in your life to direct you back into alignment? And how can you use the stress in your life to help differentiate yourself outside of the status quo? How can you differentiate yourself outside of the status quo? Stress is when you're in society, when you're in the psychosis of society. Look at that. You know, I was having a conversation yesterday with one of my coaches, and we were talking about Facebook and like how engagement is down a lot in Facebook right now and social media. And one of the reasons is like when you go on social media, God, it's like the energy is so disgusting. There's so much fear. There's so much yuck on it. It's like, ugh. And then everybody has their opinions. Like right now, of course, everybody's talking about, oh, you must wear your mask. Do you not realize that the government has algorithms that they use in social media, and they know exactly the people to target because they know that you think like group think. And once they program your mind, you go out with this mass message and you start putting everybody down who's not easily programmed. And so then therefore the fear spreads. That's literally one of the biggest and main uses of social media. The algorithms in social media and the artificial intelligence behind all social media is for programming society to believe a certain way. People don't know that, but that is literally what artificial intelligence is for, which is the basis of social media. So now you've got all these like strange arguments and everything on social media because they use all those. This isn't a conspiracy. This is factual knowledge. They use like all those quizzes and all these little things and whatever to see where you're at, and so you're able to spread like where your mindset is, and they use you to spread the message. So engagement is down because a lot of people, especially people here who are watching this feed, most likely are probably not easily influenced by um, mass society. And I just say that because you're following me, so this message wouldn't really be for someone who would follow mass society. So I share that because if you are one of those people, which I really hope you are, not mass society, but an outlier of mass society, how can you differentiate yourself from society? It could be something simple like changing your hair, walking outside, and you look different than everybody else. People look at you. Like if I walk outside or do this, people know that I'm different. And start to recognize what that identity is starting to show you. And then the more you're able to start to step into the identity of who you truly are, then you start to notice some of that stress leave the body. And then you're able to walk around with more of a flow, more of who you are. And then the ideas start to flood through your brain, and then you're able to create, and now you're able to receive, and now you're able to be this badass in this world that takes up all this space. And now you're living this life of like, oh my gosh, I don't have this much stress in my life. Like, I'm really happy. Why am I happy? Because simply one thing: you're living your life for you. Stress and chaos is simply putting you into alignment to get you into the full expression of who you are. Without an identity crisis, your life remains stagnant. Your life remains stagnant. After I came back from living in Asia for almost a year, and coming back to the States, I was like, I was so aware. Like I was like, my eyes were like bugged open. Like if I live another minute of my life like this, I am going to be stagnant and settled for the rest of my life. Is this the life you want to live forever? The answer was no. And I realized I needed to be by myself. I thought I was living a life of freedom, traveling the world, having a great relationship, having a really great career that I was very passionate about. I thought I was living a life of freedom. But I realized in the confines of what I have created within that relationship, within that career, within everything, that I wasn't expressing myself fully. I was always living a life of restriction. And it was time for me to be free. So I chose freedom and I left. Hardest decision, one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my entire life was to walk away from the two things that were the most important in my entire life, was that relationship and my career. Oh my gosh, I want to cry just thinking about it. But they didn't serve me anymore, and they weren't growing with me anymore. But I was here to grow. I was here to grow. I was here to be I was here to do big things. I have a big contribution to this world, a big contribution to this world to give. How many here on this call feel like they have a big contribution to give in the world? How many here on this call feel like that you're here on this planet to make a difference? How many here on this call know that you weren't meant to play small, that you were here and born to do something really big? How many? Don't be afraid to raise your hand. Because here within this group, you're accepted. Here, you're celebrated for that. Here, you're celebrated for your uniqueness. Here, you're celebrated for your differences. Here, you're celebrated for your voice. Here, you're celebrated for your uniqueness. Here, you're celebrated for rising up. Having an identity crisis is where you want to live because maximum growth occurs at the border of chaos and order. Having an identity crisis is where you want to live because maximum growth occurs at the border of chaos and order. What does that mean? Stress tells us where we're out of alignment with being who we truly are. I don't care if it's financial stress. You're not being who you really are. Maybe you're having financial stress because you have spent your entire life in a career that no longer serves you, and it's time for you to start being passionate so you can start making more money. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're in a stressful relationship because you no longer fit the mold of the relationship anymore because you've lost your identity in a relationship that no longer serves you anymore. Maybe you're having stress with your children because maybe it's time for you to stop labeling yourself as a parent and starting to put yourself first and setting boundaries with your children so you can start loving yourself more. Stress is the gift of identity, of expression. And when you're able to see where you're not in your truth, you know you're growing if you can think and be aware of that space. And the identity crisis comes right at the border of, my life is chaos. It's so much stress. I can't live like this anymore. And then there's this fine little line. And we're like, I have this carrot that's dangling in front of my face, and I don't know why. I just could see this carrot. I could taste it. I could smell it. I could see it. I could feel it. But I don't know why I can't get it. The carrot is the order. But you don't know what that little thing is that's keeping you from that carrot. It's your truth. It's your expression. It's your identity. And the more challenge and the more chaos you perceive in your life, the more order in the world you're able to create. The more challenge and chaos you perceive in your life, the more order in the world you're able to create. I always wondered, I lived, again, a life of adversity. Every day of my life since the day I was born, it's just been hard. I have very few memories of happiness. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm not saying that as a victim. I know there's a lot of people in the world who lived a life of of extreme adversity. But I realized at one point in my life that it's such a gift because the challenges and the chaos in my life have caused me to be able to connect with a lot of people. And because I understand people, I'm able to create more order in the world, and my contribution is much greater. So I've learned not to complain or to get caught up in the stress and chaos, and not to say that there aren't times where it feels like you're just being consumed and that the water is just like you can't breathe, you feel like you're drowning. Just recently, I went through it. But I allowed myself to get consumed in that. Like, what am I not seeing here? What is the beauty in this? And I was able to come out on top of it. And I was like, that's it. Thank you for the push. This was another little push back into mission realignment. What I'm here to do. What I was doing before in my career was mastery of certain topics, mastery of certain skills, mastery of certain tools. My previous relationship sculpted me into learning who I was a little bit deeper, and to be able to see and recognize behaviors that have been able to help me create what I was actually really born to create. That's all it was. I was like, "Oh my gosh." But I was caught up for a little bit, lost in labels, that I wasn't able to see it. So that's why I was causing stress. And until I was able to like lose the labels, was I able to see the gift. Was I able to start creating? And now it's just like this is it's like literally like I feel like my brain is like a I'm trying to think of what game that was. Um Growing up, not Tetris. There was another game growing up in the 80s that I remember playing, but I guess it's kind of like Tetris. It's like the blocks are all coming in, each one piece. Flip it this way, boom, next level. Boom, next level. And just like a game of Tetris, like there's sometimes where all the blocks, you like you just missed one piece. You're like, ah, shit. I just missed that one piece. It would have fit so perfectly there. And now I fucked up the whole thing. And now I like have to start over. That's what stress and chaos and identity. It's like, okay, but I won't make that mistake the next time I come across that level. Okay, redo. Let's do this again. And maybe you didn't beat it again the second time or the third time, but the fourth time you got it. You just needed that one, right? The like one line, and it fit right in there and it wiped out everything. And you're like, yes, I got it. Next level. We're good. Life is nothing more than a game of Tetris. And you're able to create so many amazing things if you're able to just see it that way and not get consumed up in it. And also not to rush the process. Just because you failed at that one level doesn't mean you're going to get it right the second time. Maybe the freaking things are coming down like this, and your fingers haven't learned yet how to move the controller fast enough to position it right. And maybe why you have to play that level over and over and over is to work on the speed of your fingers to be able to move it fast enough. Instead of focusing on how fast all the blocks are coming down, focus on the muscle that it's building to your fingers to make sure that you're able to twist and turn the building blocks fast enough. It's mastery. It's mastery. That is what mastery looks like. And the more we're able to see that, the more we grow, the more we receive. I wanted to as I was going through my most recent crisis in life, I thought I was going crazy. I am not even gonna lie. I was like, I am sitting here like all these crazy things are happening to me that I don't understand. And I'm not even gonna share them on this call because if I share them on the call, you guys are gonna be like, this bitch is batshit crazy. I was just like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, I was like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Like, I'm like, is this really happening? And as you are going through your identity crisis, as you are contemplating the stress and chaos in your life so you can grow and rise above and learn beyond all the things that that you're learning and stepping away from society and status quo and getting connected to yourself, you are not going to fit in right away, which is going to create more stress in itself. And that's okay. Because there's always that period when you start to like really come into yourself, you kind of start to just repel everybody for a little while. And then they start to see, oh my God, you're really coming into yourself. This is good. Where people are going to start to be like, oh, you're crazy. Like, what's going on? Where they're actually going to start coming back. And you're going to start actually attracting better people into your life who are going to upgrade your life, up level you. So allow yourself that space to be and to ground yourself and still practice into who you are. And it's okay if you feel a little crazy. For me, I know I've been called crazy my whole life. I've accepted that in myself. It's okay. I actually take that as a compliment now because I'm like, I don't want to fit into society because, like, right now, the state of society and where people are at right now, good God, I do not want to live there. There's a lot of afraid, scared people right now that are just perpetuating this fear, which leads me to this last point, getting clear on what really matters. Now, I can sit here and say, write me in the comments right now what really matters. But you'd be coming up with a bunch of lists in your head of what you think matters. Most people are going to say family. I was contemplating this the other day, and as I was like going through my life and everything that I've gone through in my life prior to today, because my birthday is coming up, like I said, on the 13th of July. And your birthday is really your new year, right? Is the day of your birth is your new year, not well, some people think it's January 1st, but for me, it's my birthday. And for the last year, since my birthday last year, when I was in Bali on the Gili Islands, I was really going through what I needed to, like, what this year was, and all this releasing for the last year. And I realized, like, that's what I was going through this whole year, was everything that I wanted to let go of. And it came true. Of course. What, I mean, was I naive to think that was going to be easy? So a while back, I realized when I said I was experiencing a death, like I really am experiencing a death of my own self. And so I was looking back at my life, I was looking back at everything that I've done. I've inspired thousands of people around the world. I have spoken all over the world. I've taught all over the world. I have volunteered and did philanthropic work all around the world. Um, I have I've done a lot. I've done a lot of really great things. I wrote a book. I never wrote a book. Um, I've done a lot. And then as I was contemplating what really mattered in my life, I decided to write an obituary. If I were to die in the next 24 hours, I'm going to write an obituary as what my life looked like if I died in the next 24 hours. And as I'm writing this obituary, I was like, oh my God, if I died in the next 24 hours, I spent most of my life just being busy for the sake of being busy. Yes, I've inspired some lives, but at the end of the day, if I were to die tomorrow, there'd be no funeral. My kids would cry, and I would be burned in a urn, my ashes put in a urn, and my family would literally just have a little dinner in my honor, um, probably talking shit about me around a table because nobody understood my life or what I stood for, and I would be forgotten. And what I realized was, yeah, there would be some people who would be upset, that I was gone, but at the end of the day, I would be forgotten. And all the stress and all the chaos and all the worries and all the things would be gone too. And I spent all my life worried about all the stress, all the chaos, all the whatever in my life that just really didn't matter. And at the end of the day, what really mattered to me was my contribution, leaving something behind. So my life at least stood for something. So I don't leave my kids feeling misunderstood about my life. They actually see it and feel it physically of what it's still doing to people, even though I'm long gone. I realize life really doesn't have much meaning unless you leave something behind. And so I can get caught up in complaining about the stress. I can get caught up in the chaos, or I can create order. And I can listen, and I can be still, and I can come into the expression of who I really am. I could show up. I could be myself. I don't need to live for somebody's judgment. I don't have to live my life for you, or my neighbor, or my children, or my mother, or my best friend, or my husband. Because if I died tomorrow, none of that shit would freaking matter. That hit me to my core. I cried all day. I cried for 4 days. I'm not even joking. When did I do that? For like 3 days. And then I was so struck by it. It really caught me off guard. Because until you actually do something that deep and actually think about it, you realize that you spend so much of your life focused on things that don't matter. Working on things that don't matter, working towards things that don't matter. Our society says, you know what, but you need to make money. So use your entire life stressing out about making money. Work at a job that you don't like to stress out about not being able to see your kids, or working so hard that you're too tired to play with your kids because you need to make money. And when you're 65 years old, which you're not even freaking guaranteed, you can enjoy your life. Oh, but you know what? You had all your money tied up in a 401k and the economy tanked and all your money's gone. So now you're living off of freaking money that the government is paying you, and you realize they ran out of money too, and so now you are stressed and worried about money again at 65 when you were promised a life of happiness when you retired and got out of that job. It never ends. You only have right now. And if you recognize that what you have right now is the only thing that you have right now, there is no stress. There is no chaos. There's you showing up. And it's you doing the very best you can for you in this moment right now, living a life of being happy and free. I found myself hiding. I think we did that topic last week about hiding, because I chose freedom in my life. And because I chose freedom of my life from a relationship that no longer served me, from a career that no longer served me, from a message that no longer served me. And when I felt like, because of that, I crushed people's idea of who I was, because I'm human, because I chose that I need to be free, and the structures in my life fit their perception of me. I felt like I had to hide from those people who were attacking me because of their own perception of who I should be. That's crazy. When I actually like chose to be free. This is freedom. And now it's not that I'm never going to experience stress in my life again. I will. It's not that I'm not ever going to have chaotic moments again. Like, this is going to be the last time in my life that I'm going to experience chaos. I absolutely will experience that again. But I know that when those moments come, especially when they're big moments, I know that those moments are just here strictly to knock me back into alignment, or to alert me that it's time for me to become bigger, a bigger, better version of myself. That what's going on in my life no longer serves me. And it's time to let go of anything that doesn't serve me. And when I let go of those things that no longer serve me, then I can be present and I can be happy. My life can have meaning and can matter. So go back to that question I asked you in the very beginning of this feed. What is the biggest stressor in your life? What is it teaching you? What is it showing you? Because it's giving you a gift. Receive it. Receive that beautiful, beautiful gift. Don't let it permeate in your body as muscle knots and pain and disease and illness, because that's not what it's supposed to do. The only reason why it forms in the body is because your body is telling you you're resisting. You're not listening. You're holding on to things that do not serve the person you are becoming. There's a thin line between crazy and wise. I didn't know what that line was because I didn't know. Am I just being crazy? Or am I being wise? A crazy person or a wise person, what's the difference? It's self-awareness. Because a crazy person doesn't think they're crazy. A wise person knows that they're growing but may not understand what they're going through, but they're willing to listen. And that's called self-awareness. And at the end of the day, that's what stress is getting us to. Stress and chaos in our lives are getting us to a place of becoming more self-aware, becoming more individuated. Stress and chaos in our life are their indication where it's time for us to prosper. It's time for our lives to become more wealthy and more rich. It's not easy to see that when you're in the tunnel, and in the tunnel it's just dark. There's no words to describe how dark that tunnel can get. I was trying to explain this to a friend the other day when I was going through, or trying to describe to her what I had to go face a beast in my life. And in order to face this beast, I had to go into absolute darkness. And I was like, there's no words to describe how dark this darkness was. I was like, think of the maddest, there's like the maddest black times it by like 180. And that's how dark it was. No light can reflect off of that darkness. It was so scary. But I knew I couldn't run from it, and I knew I couldn't avoid it. I knew I had to face it so I could grow. And so I did. I can't describe to you the amount of fear I had going into seeing that beast in my life. But I'm so happy that I came out the other end. I'm actually going to, after this feed is over, I'm going to take a photo from where I began this journey and where I'm at right now. And I want to show everybody my progression through my stress and chaos that I've been experiencing in my life. And what it looks like when you do come out the other end. Because it's beautiful, it's worth it. If you choose to listen. If you choose to listen. Stress doesn't have to be stress. And the only reason why it lasts as long as it does is because you're so gripped. It's like, I'm gripping on for dear life. And it's like you're literally in the shallowest waters. I don't know if any of you like to like snorkel, but it's like sometimes you're like snorkeling and like, let's say like water is getting in your mask and you start to panic and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna drown, I'm gonna drown, I'm gonna drown. Oh my God, and the waves are like crashing at you and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna drown. In the Cayman Islands, oh my gosh, I went snorkeling in the Cayman Islands, but there's not very many beaches in the Caymans, and that's kind of like just rocky like areas, and then you just dive in. But there's one area in the Cayman Islands where you go snorkeling. You have to jump in the water with like a bunch of barracudas, and they're big, and they got like these teeth, and they've got like those big jaws, and you're like, what? You want me to freaking dive in with them to go snorkeling? Oh my God, you're freaking out. And then, of course, when you got your snorkel mask on, and these things are so used to humans that they don't even care because, like, there's a restaurant like that's like that's right off the shore there. So I think food goes in there. So the barracuda just kind of chill right there. And you're just like, oh my God. And there's just like these huge barracuda. They're coming and you're just like, oh my God, you're freaking out. They don't hurt you or anything, but you're like deathly afraid. And so you're kind of like panicking and you just don't even realize all you have to do is stand up and breathe. And you're okay. But you start to perceive all these things in your life that are going to happen and you're just going to drown and die. But it doesn't need to be that way. All you have to do is like stand up. You just realize it's like it's pretty shallow. Like you don't have to go that deep. But we just can't let go. We spend so much time resisting, you just can't let go. I was listening to someone speak the other day, and I really love this analogy. You jump off the cliff and then you grow wings on the way down. You don't grow wings and then jump off the cliff. Even an eagle or an owl, they have wings, but they don't even know what the hell to do with them because they never used them. They got to jump off the cliff to learn how to fly. They don't learn how to fly and then they jump off the cliff or the branch. No, they have to jump off and then they have to learn how to use their wings on the way down. We're no different. So allow that stress and that chaos in your life to guide you to your mission, to realign you to what you're here to do, to what really matters in life. And let me tell you, it's not the material goods. It's not all this busyness. It's not the money. It's none of that stuff. It's just not. It's what your life represented. It's a story of what you came here to tell. And if you don't have anything or anyone to share that story with, it's just gone. And all the worry, all the hard work it'll be forgotten. So there's no point in stressing and worrying about things right now because at the end of the day, it can happen to any of us. We can get in the car and go to the grocery store and we can die. And all those stresses that you said that you had in the beginning of the call, they don't fucking matter. They don't matter. That's the truth of things. No, but maybe they do. Okay, if you think so. Even with what's going on in the world right now, people are so freaking afraid of death that they're, oh my God, I'm so afraid I'm going to die from coronavirus. Well, then what if you do die from coronavirus? You just spent the whole last 3 months of your life stressed and worried about coronavirus. You didn't even live. Did it matter? You spent the last 3 months of your life in fear. Did it matter? No. But you got to convince everybody else that it matters because you're so focused on death, fear of dying, that you don't even realize that you're already dead. Stress and chaos put us into order. The world right now is under a lot of stress and chaos, and it's trying to get back into order. And those who have a contribution to the world are those who are here to put that world into order. And I know that I am one of those people. here to put the world into order. And that's all that matters. And if you feel like you have a contribution to the world, just type yes, me in the comments. Again, you're accepted here for being that person. No one person can do that alone. I really truly feel everybody on this planet has something to contribute, some more than others. And the larger the amount of chaos and stress that you've lived in your life, the more adversity that you lived in your life, the more order you're here to create in this world. And the time is now for you to rise up. Stop complaining. Stop bitching. Stop doing all that stuff blocks you from being who you truly are. It's time to really rise up. The time is now. And I'm so excited for those who recognize that. Those of you who are feeling that fire like burn up inside of you, that, yeah, it's time for me to stop playing small in this world and get caught up in the little things that don't matter. My kids are like, oh my God, you're one of those. Yeah, I'm not gonna live. If I'm gonna die from something no matter what. It's the only thing in the world that I am promised. So I'm not going to live my life in fear that something might take me. Whether that be a car accident, a plane, coronavirus, a bad stomach flu, a gunshot, I don't know, whatever it is. I can fall asleep tonight and not wake up. I'm not going to fear that. I'm going to wake up every day showing up to the best of my abilities. And if that just means changing my hair and putting on some clothes and getting out of my pajamas or taking a shower, well, that's a good first step. 1 foot at a time. 1 inch at a time. Doesn't matter. Thank you so much for everybody who is on this call. Those of you who did participate. I can't see see all of the comments on all the different platforms, so I'm sorry if I didn't engage with all of the comments. I have to go back. I got to go back and see them later. But I do want to just thank you to those who did contribute, because those who did contribute, you're going to get the most out of this, and your life will change just from watching this stream. Those of you who do feel like you do have a contribution to the world, and you're ready to explore maybe what your soul gifts are and what your biggest challenge in the world is, and you don't understand why you're running in these cyclical loops that keep you stuck, these Tuesday calls, and just for these Tuesday calls only, I am offering a private consultation, one-on-one. You can message me, and I'll send you the information to schedule that. That's my gift to you, as a consultation with me to help get you into alignment of what you are here to do, and to get you to a place where, yeah, you're here to do what you want to do. You're here to get out of stress and chaos. You're here to experience more pleasure in your life, and you're tired of playing small. We also have something very special that we're going to be starting pretty soon. It's only for a very elite group of people. It does take a process to be able to get initiated, to see if you're accepted for this group that we have. going on. These are for people who really do feel like they have a really deep contribution to the world. If you're interested in getting an application, there is a process that you must go through. So the email to that is contact@mandalinmoses.com, and I'll send you information to apply to see to learn more about that. Really excited to be able to announce that. There aren't any shortcuts in life, but if there is a shortcut, it's mentorship and collaboration. You're not going to get there alone. Believe me on that one. That's why I gave that gift, that burden to my friend, and that's gonna be one of the greatest birthday gifts I've ever received. To take away that burden of being independent, that burden of feeling like a burden that's caused me to want to be independent, because I can't do this alone. I don't want to do life alone anymore. I want I want to be in a career where I'm not like a solopreneur, where I've got a bunch of people behind me supporting me. I don't want to be in a relationship where I am the sole partner and I'm taking responsibility for others and being the breadwinner, and just being in a relationship where you're basically alone doing everything. You don't have a partner and having dependence instead of a partnership. I don't want to do that anymore. Take that with you. It doesn't serve me anymore. I want a relationship where I've got a partner, a person who's not trying to fix things, a person who's holding a container and making me a better person and is growing with me each and every single day. I want to live a life where my body is strong and not holding on to weight because it needs to maintain energy. That's the kind of life I want to live. That's the kind of life I'm living now. It's beautiful. But doing that alone, coming up with some of these things, don't do that alone. It doesn't get you very far in life. It just gets you around spinning in circles over and over and over and over and over. You're just like walking around like a freaking, like the world today, a zombie apocalypse. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you are, you can message me on Facebook, or you can contact me at contact@mandolindemoses.com if you're interested in scheduling something. And if you're interested, if you have a deep contribution to the world, and you want to learn a little bit more about what we have going on to help you with that contribution, message us, and we're here to help you. I'm so happy. This was an amazing conversation. Thank you so much again for everybody who was here with me live. Thank you so much for all of you who are going to be watching this replay. Thank you so much just for everybody. You guys are all so amazing. I love you so much. Thank you so much for your contribution and everything that you've been doing in this world, because your healing contributes to the healing as a whole in our society, and I'm just so grateful for all of you. And yeah, I look forward to being on with you next Tuesday. It'll be the day after my birthday, and I'm marking my birthday as my rebirth. So I'm really excited about stepping into the new year of my life and what that looks like. And I'm just really excited to have all you here celebrating life with me today. So again, I honor every single one of you. Thank you so much, from my heart to yours, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.